But yeah, those old theories that I had of how wonderful it was to tour got completely dispelled by Visions of Atlantis. They laid it to me straight. It was incredible.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not as fun as it used to be. But what I was saying is originally, how do you balance everything? Because you're trying to do promotions, you're trying to create, trying to be creative, write this stuff, play it and record it and go out on tour and create albums and make sure that all of that works out so that you're to your satisfaction. The balance has got to, and for you guys, I think, you don't have the heavy support of a label, doing a lot of that stuff. How do you do it?
Um,
Yeah. I
We
was gonna
don't.
say,
the answer.
we never really thought about it. We just do it.
We do. Yeah. We. It's a lot of work. Um, I mean, the creativity comes really quickly and really easily, so that's a part that we don't tend to worry about really. But the rest of it, yeah, the when we were releasing this album, because we were doing a lot of the work, it was like, oh gosh, how do we have time? And then I got an injury and we couldn't tour.
Yeah.
And we were still busy full
Oh,
time.
we
So
were.
we were like, gosh, yeah, I don't know how we would have done
I
it, to be
don't think
honest.
it would have been possible, really, looking back on it now. Maybe, it was meant to be or something. Um,
But we do, I don't know. I think once you get into the flow state, you kind of just get on and you do it, don't you? When we've
Thanks.
always, even when we've been on labels, we've been very, very independent and very, self-governing, haven't we? We've never had somebody saying,
Yes,
you're going to go here and do
oh,
this and
this is what the album's
you'll
gonna
get
cover's gonna
taken
look like.
there. We're always like,
We've always tried to control our own thing
of course.
because to us, it's not just an hour's worth of music. It's an hour's worth of music plus a visual concept, plus design, and plus all sorts of videos, of course, and all sorts of other things. Which it's easy to kind of we'll hire a great director to shoot the video, and we'll hire a great designer to do the album cover, and we'll hire someone to design the stage set for us or something. But to us, it's all got to come from the same
Of course
place
it does.
in here, doesn't it? Or
It
else
really
it's not
does.
really. It's not really, I don't know, valid somehow, unless it's
Yeah,
been
it's hard to for
from
somebody else to
oh,
interpret
mm,
it.
Yeah, I mean, collaboration's great, but when you have such a pure vision for something, like if we were stuck, great, but usually
yeah,
we have almost too many ideas. If somebody else came in with ideas, it would just become chaos
yeah,
because it's like we have enough ideas. It's just
yeah. It's just
the
executing
budget we
them.
don't have.
Yeah, it's just finding out how to
Yeah,
achieve.
yeah.
And everything's got to be to the best it can be.
Oh, we try
It's
with
it,
what
it's
we've
it's
got,
a
don't we?
it's hard work trying to be satisfied with what we do because we're difficult people to work for, aren't we?
Yeah,
You know,
you are.
yeah. Took words out of my mouth.
Well,
Mm,
you want perfection. You don't come
yeah,
out, and not that you should, but you're not, mass producing albums and putting
mm,
something out every single week. And you want the best. You want, when you do come
yeah,
out with something, 2 years, 3 years, however how long it takes, you want it
yeah,
to be something you would be proud of. And you definitely can
yeah.
this album and all the ones you have released. And but yeah, that's understandable. It's not
Yeah.
just to catch someone's ear. It's something that you want to be able to perform and you want to be able to love,
Absolutely.
because you can imagine, and I'm sure they love Stairway to Heaven, but after you've played that, 5,000, 6,000 times, it loses its flavor for the artist themselves. I'm sure, yeah, they still love that song, but yeah, you want something that you enjoy as well. And
Absolutely.
Yeah,
people
Yeah.
absolutely.
kind of forget about that. The listener forgets about that.
And I'd love to ask Jimmy Page about that song. And when he gets to that point where he kicks off the solo in that song, like you say, he's probably done it 5,000 times. what does he feel in his heart when he hits
Yeah.
the first down? Does he still feel the same thing that he felt when he first played it? Or is he thinking, oh no, it's that solo again. I better play it right because everyone in these
Yes.
50,000 people who are listening to it knows every detail of that solo.
Yeah.
They've grown up with it. Such responsibility, Does he feel that as a weight of responsibility, or does he feel it's something that he can't wait to enjoy for the 5,001st time? I don't know.
I hope it's the latter. I
I
hope
hope
it's
it
the
is.
gratitude of it.
I hope it is. I
It
really
is
do.
hard, isn't it? Because as artists, you're always looking next, 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 and it's when once something's done, it's done. You want to move on to the next thing, and that's where
Mm,
we're trying to rein ourselves in at the moment because, like, Hotel Utopia is our new child. We have
mm,
to nurture this first before we start running off into the future.
yeah, yeah.
But it sounds like you might be, and it sounds like maybe that's a good time to ask you. Um, what are you working on?
Oh, we have definitely started writing for the next album, haven't we?
Yeah, we
But we're
keep a kind
trying
of
to
a.
restrain ourselves a little.
You're very good in keeping a sketchbook of musical ideas that come along, and we develop them up to a point, and
Oh, they're always fully
um,
formed songs.
they're up to a point where we know exactly where we would probably go with them. So
Oh, the written songs, aren't they? They're
they're
just,
fully written songs,
but they're just not
but they're
produced.
not produced. So there's still plenty of excitement to add to them before they get to their final destination. But they're at that point now where they're sort of halfway along the journey. We've got a whole bunch of those ready to go. So
But we're
if we had to put an album out in June this year, we could do. We could go into the studio
yeah,
and
oh
develop
yeah,
that
I've got
12
material.
songs and
Yeah, yeah.
we could have them ready for June. We're not going to do that,
No, we're not.
but it's nice feeling to know that there's some credit in the bank, musical credit.
Yes. Yeah. What is it evolving as another concept album or still too early?
Ooh,
It's too early to say. It
yeah,
really is too early to say because even though there's enough written already for another album, definitely more will definitely be written, and
yeah.
they could. So there's no point in us even speculating yet
And at the
because
moment, there's still kind of each song is floating in its own little space in a
there's a
bubble
few that
that
already
we've not actually.
interweave.
I've not actually joined them together and
No,
see if
there's
they
a
make
few that
sense yet.
weave together. No, there are a
Oh, you're
few
always
that
way
can
ahead of me.
hint and nod to the others, but you know, again, I still do feel like Hotel Utopia does still feel very, very new, and because we
Yeah,
haven't
it's it.
really toured it yet,
Mm,
it's still fresh and exciting.
yeah, yes, it
Good.
will be good.
So yeah, we're not bored of it yet.
I love it. Yeah, but and hopefully everyone can't wait to hear it live. But that's good to hear. So possibly 24.
Possibly.
Possibly,
I guess it depends, doesn't it? It all depends on how much we tour.
yeah. Um, yeah, it's a long way away. 24, isn't it? A long,
No,
long
it's
way.
only well, it's only a year
It feels
off.
like
Well,
I'm
not
not
to
even
hurry or
dreaming
anything, but
for yet.
Not
not
to
to
hurry
hurry.
us, not holding us to it.
No, no, because like I
Good.
say, I'm still enjoying this one, but just to kind of get maybe a picture, but no.
Yeah, I mean we've got a lot of playing live to do, and we always take our time making albums as well. We always like to, probably takes us a year to do.
Mm,
So,
mm.
but who knows? Who knows what happens? Who knows what's going to happen with the live scene? Everybody's really struggling financially over here. It might be a studio year. You don't know. You
Yes,
don't know.
yes.
Life is very different at the moment, isn't it? And so never say never to 24. I don't know. Who
No,
knows? Who knows? But we
So,
definitely do plan on making another.
yeah, we do.
well, oh yeah, no, I don't doubt that. But what about then the tour? Enough for the whole year? It sounds like, or are you doing some festivals yet? Or you don't have to tell me names or anything, but potentially.
We've got, we've
I
got,
think there's a couple of
there are a couple. Yeah,
festivals,
there's
and there's
a large UK tour starting in March that goes through to June. and that's going to be quite that's going to be quite a lot of work in those months, which we're looking forward to, of course. And the rest of the year is still in the planning, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really, it should be better planned by now, probably.
But it feels like a weird time at the moment for
Yeah,
music. Lots of people are kind of putting things on hold, and you know, come out of COVID into this cost of living crisis. It's
yeah,
really tough for people because if you can't afford to heat your homes, you're not going to be buying concert tickets no matter
that's
how much
right.
you love the band.
Mm.
So we're kind of playing it by ear. You know, we've learned to become a little bit more flexible, haven't we?
I think you have to be flexible enough to just go with whatever the situation is, because the situation is continuously changing, as you're saying.
Mm.
So you want to stay in the game. The bands are going to have to change to kind of fit the circumstances, and if that means playing to fewer people and trying to make enough money to carry on, whilst you're still playing to half full places, I think we'd all say, yeah, we'll do that, because there's nothing going to be worse than not playing at all.
But I think COVID taught us that, you know, you don't necessarily have to be touring 24/7 to be
Mm,
reaching the world. Actually, you can reach people probably better not touring, you
yeah,
know, with the internet now
yeah,
and social media. You've got the whole world literally at
you're
your
right.
fingertips, which is great in one way, you know, but obviously really hard in another because all bands have the same opportunity and it's
Mm.
um
Well, we've just had one of our probably our most successful year, and it's probably been the lightest touring year we've ever
well
had.
apart from COVID. Yeah.
Well, of course, they don't really count at
No,
all, do they?
okay.
They're kind of non-years.
But it kind of teaches you that even though touring is fantastic, it's not the only way
Yeah,
to build your audience and your career, which has been like a refreshing wake up call to us,
yeah,
really.
because we've been addicted to touring for best part of 10 years. As a way of life, not just as a means of an income. But yeah,
Yeah.
the van has become our home, for 10 years really, and
So yeah,
it's
next year,
felt a weird year this year, isn't it?
yeah, yeah. But yeah, more creating. That is the plan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And hopefully coming over to see you at some point and
yes,
your
Yeah, I
that's
really
yeah.
hope you
that's
guys make it to the US.
oh,
I'm
oh
doing
yeah,
everything I can on the Sea Prague uh, to see.
oh great.
Yeah. Um,
Great.
What
and
what part of the year is that one?
it is in Seattle,
Right.
Washington, out
Which
way out.
month of which month of the year does that take place in?
I think it's usually June, July. Yeah. So it's nice, beautiful weather because we don't know where we have your kind of weather most
Yeah,
of the time.
great.
So yeah, you want to come over here when it's nice.
Yeah.
And yeah, they are going to do I think 3 days, which this year they only did one because they were coming off of COVID and weren't sure what was going to happen, who was going to show up, both fan wise and bands. And you can book a lot of bands, and then they say, "Well, not sure I want to do that with if COVID had blown back in heavy."
Mhm.
So I think they're a little more secure in feeling that people are getting out there now. I tell you, the big arenas have been selling out like crazy in Seattle. I think,
Great.
I mean, with not the average, they're
Yeah.
booking like Lizzo and the rap and pop artists, and they're filling that place. And they every once in a while they'll show the video of whoever it is that's visiting, and the place is full. So I think they're at least in the Seattle area, and I think that's everywhere else, probably out west here. They've gotten over the fear of COVID, and the
Good.
audiences have, and so have the uh, arrangers and the what's the word, the um, um, tour people.
Yeah.
So
So hopefully we'll see you over there.
Yeah.
yeah, I really I keep telling them yes, they definitely their basis is to try to build support for the local bands here. But you need someone like you, somebody with a big name, around the UK, around the Europe, to help build that audience and bring them in. Oh, they're going to be there. Well, yeah, now I'll go. I want to see these other bands, but now that I know they're going to be here,
It's nice to have a bit of a selection as well, isn't it? People from different places who you wouldn't normally get to see. That's the draw of a festival, isn't it? As well.
Yeah, it is. It's about discovery, isn't it? Sometimes,
yeah.
But seeing your favorites.
I think there's somebody at the door.
Oh dear. Oh, I think we know who that is.
Yeah, I will be a sec.
No, someone's at the door. Yeah. Well,
I think it's the supermarket delivering the shopping. How boring. We just live really boring lives, don't we? The supermarket's delivering the shopping in the middle of an
that's
interview.
nice. Yeah. My wife keeps telling me to do it, uh, and it was funny because at one time she was like, "No, they'll never pick out the right fruit, vegetables, and
Yeah,
stuff."
yeah.
And I think I started, yeah, let's give it a try, and she was like, "No way." Now she's, let's give it a try, and I'm like, well, I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
want to get the wrong thing, and then you have to try to reorder it. And if you're almost out of something, yeah, you don't
yeah.
want to do that. So, and this year has just been horrible as far as shipping. As a matter of fact, I'm waiting for two things to come today that were supposed to be here before Christmas.
Oh goodness.
The surprise is over. The Christmas is over, and
Mm,
anyway, so hopefully I'll get those today. But the same thing has been true. It took forever to finally get your CD, and
really good.
there's still some CDs that I'm looking for that haven't come. So yeah, and it may be this small town we're in too, because we've heard a lot of people complaining about how bad the mail is here. But
Yeah.
it's well, yesterday you can track a lot of this stuff.
Mm,
This item that I'm ordering was in Spokane, which is just on the other side of the state, not the
mm.
United States, just our state of
Yeah.
Washington. They shipped it down to Portland, Oregon, like hundreds of miles away,
Right.
and now it's stuck somewhere and then they shipped it from there to Seattle. It's stuck somewhere in Seattle waiting to get up here. And why did
Oh,
it go that way? Why didn't they just go right across the state? Well, there's mountains and there's been a lot of horrible snow, heavy snow and stuff like that.
yeah, I believe so.
Get
Yeah.
that, but you can fly it over. But anyway, shipping has just been a madhouse here. Uh,
Right.
it's been terrible this year. And we used to have very good mail, very good shipping. We were, the
Mm.
US used to be the pride of, logistics, but not now. Definitely not now. So hopefully, yeah, that will get in order um, not too far into 2023, because
Yeah.
all of us have had it. And there's a lot of local grocers that are doing what you're doing, and they're trying to, as much as possible, do
Mm.
it, have more control over supply, demand, and get stuff to people
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
fast as they can. But not yet.
Yeah.
They're not
I
getting.
think that the demand for people buying things online has increased so massively in the last 5 years, hasn't it? I don't know how the courier companies and the delivery companies have actually kept pace with it because there's such a surge in such a change in people's buying habits now from even a couple of years ago. The consumer kind of world is changing so quickly, isn't it? I don't know how the industries can keep pace with us, really.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm.
Yeah,
One,
it's
one question I was going to ask you
sure, sure.
when we were talking earlier, I just thought of this question. I thought when I was thinking about me listening to going back in my musical history and sort of still enjoying listening to stuff from earlier days. What do you reckon is the album, the most played album of yours in your life? What album do you reckon you've played the most times?
Okay.
If you had a meter on all your albums that tells you how many times you've played it and listened to it.
Well, I mean anything by Genesis, but
Right. Okay.
probably the Foxtrot album. I mean, if you put a gun to my head and said, "What's your favorite album?" that would be it. And you
Right.
wouldn't have to really put the gun to my head. I mean, I
Yeah.
love the album, but I, as you probably can't. I mean, no, I'm not as diversified as you guys are, definitely. But I do like classical. I do like
Mm-hmm.
rock. I do like metal. I do. I like a lot of music, and I've got the CDs downstairs to prove it.
Oh, you
But,
have. I bet you
but
have.
yeah, no, that I mean that and anything by Led Zeppelin,
Yeah.
just because you're talking about years, my first 20 or so years, maybe, yeah, 20 years. That's what I listened to, and then jumped
Too.
into the new wave. And Chameleons is another one.
Oh, right. We've got
Chameleons.
our radio plugger in this country is the most massive Chameleons fan. So yeah,
I just, yeah, I mean, but U2, all those. I mean, I don't listen to them as much as I used to,
yeah.
but yeah, if you had to, hold me down and say which one is your favorite, that would be the one.
I was just thinking,
Yes.
what's the album you've played the most times in your life? Do you think?
Oh, I
Yeah,
don't
both of
know.
you guys. Go ahead.
At the moment, Oliver Arnold is
Is
winning with
it
some kind of beats.
really?
I've listened to it a lot, a lot. Um, I don't know. I
For
don't
your
know.
whole life? Because that's what he asked me. And
Yeah, it's a whole life question.
that's a tough one. That's
It
a,
is. It is. I wish albums did have a meter on them so you could look at they could
Well,
yeah.
it does on Spotify.
rank them in order. Yeah,
On
yeah.
Spotify, you could,
But
but
not in the good old days.
Well,
no.
and it would have to be able to do vinyl, CD, tape,
Yeah,
Yeah,
all the
yeah,
different
yeah.
uh, MP3, all the different versions that I've listened.
Yes, it would. It
that's
was.
something I have to think
What about
about.
you, Rick? While she's thinking,
Oh,
we're not
I
leaving
think
you. We're just
I think it's a Joni Mitchell album. Hissing of Summer Lawns, I think, is
oh yeah,
my most played album. Because
beautiful.
I refer either that or Daryl Hall and John Oates, Abandoned Luncheonette. That's another of my favorite albums. You're probably surprised with those because you probably don't
No,
expect
no,
me to.
no, they're great.
I love Hissing of Summer Lawns mostly because a lot of people didn't like it at the time. I feel like I need to. I absolutely adore the album. I think it's her best album, but I don't think many people probably do think it's her best. It's the one I enjoy the most anyway. I go back to it all the time, weekly at least.
Yeah, it's
Really,
for me. It's been a while since I listened to Foxtrot, but you know,
Me too, actually.
yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you what. After that, you after this, you go and listen to Hissing and Summer Lawns, and I'll go and listen to Foxtrot,
There
and
you
we'll
go.
kind of we've got to communicate on that kind of spiritual level.
Well, and then okay, now that you've asked that, Aaron, we should give Chrissy a chance first. But the next thing I was going to, what's your favorite song? But go ahead, Chrissy.
Ooh,
oh well, for
that
the
is tough.
album, I think it's maybe Tori Amos songs for Pelly, but I'm not
Oh,
sure.
that's a good one.
It's really hard. I really don't know. Oliver Arnold is really coming up there as well. And again, one of my favorite albums is Narina Palo's Fires.
Yeah,
It's such a beautiful, great pop rock album. It's like the perfect, the song Idaho is like,
yeah,
and Sapphire.
agree.
That's definitely one of them as well. And especially when we were starting out, she was, an artist that I listened to a lot. So maybe that's up there in the running. So if you haven't heard her, she's great.
She's
I'll have
great.
to.
She's terrific.
Especially Fires. The album Fires is just,
It's quite an old album. Well, that's 10 years old now.
oh, it's older than that. I think it's 2005
Wow,
or
we.
Please,
2000.
I mean, I have this to go back to, but if you can, just remember to write those down.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I
yeah.
will.
No hurry, no hurry, but just
Oh,
sometime this weekend.
It's good to share stuff like this.
it
Yeah.
is definitely.
How about
Um,
how about your song, Rick?
My song,
Favorite?
uh, my favorite song. It's just virtually impossible, isn't it? I
Yeah,
think
if
pretty
you
close.
had to narrow it down, because for me, I mean, it's easy because it's right off the Foxtrot album. It's Supper's Ready. But
Right. Yeah.
do I listen to that every day? You couldn't. It's 26 minutes long. But but yeah, the vast amount of music and changes and everything that's in that song and
Yeah.
the ending is just is one of my
Yeah.
favorite endings. Um, yeah, it's got everything, I guess.
I think
That's
my
why I like it because it could boil everything. It's got classical in it. It's got pop. It's got metal. It's got
yeah.
uh, prog. It's got regular rock. There's
Well,
everything
you
in one song.
it's really cheating because it's almost an album in its own right, isn't it? That song.
In a way,
Uh,
yeah, it's half an album. Yeah,
yeah.
that
I think
or like Close to the Edge is another. I like them
yeah,
all. I do like them.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think my favorite, maybe my, I don't know.
it's really hard, isn't it?
It's not really possible, but I say pretty close to the top would be the Rain song by Zeppelin.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's yeah.
That's my favorite Zeppelin song. And
And
I
see,
remember.
I would probably pick Kashmir over.
Oh,
Uh,
would you really?
You
yeah,
definitely.
over Stair to
I
Heaven.
definitely
I
wouldn't.
love Stair to Heaven. Not in any way disparaging that,
Yeah,
but yeah,
the
I
Rain song.
actually
I remember
like
spending
Kashmir better.
years trying to learn that song and trying and it did a weird tuning I remember I had a year of trying to just learn that song. I had an old Fender Esquire that I kept in my bedroom for years and just propped up in the corner. It's a great old guitar. And every night before I went to bed, I would try and learn another phrase from that song every single night for about a year, trying to build that song up. It's such a nightmare to
Yeah.
figure out.
Oh, the
But
words. Yeah, the lyrics. Yeah, yeah.
and that, well, the guitar playing on it is
I would
so
that too. I
odd.
would imagine.
You know,
Yeah.
it's such an odd thing to play. So yeah, I remember mastering the Rain song and feeling a huge sense of accomplishment. But I think it's just a beautiful song. That first chord is enough for me to be. I'm
Yeah.
in tears straight away. It's just that first chord of kind of despair and hope and all those feelings that one single guitar chord brings to you. It's great.
There's a Jimi Hendrix song about rain, and I can't remember the exact title. Very similar, and I don't know if that was an inspiration for them, but it does the same thing. And Jimmy actually living out here in Seattle, I
Yeah,
could when I hear that, it's like I know exactly what he's talking about.
yeah,
I mean, I
yeah,
didn't know him. I didn't, I have no connection to him, but you can just feel it, that
yeah.
Seattle rain. And like I say, you guys probably don't feel as bad around rain. We don't either. We actually by the end of the summer, you're like, please let it rain. And I think I don't know when he wrote that song, but it has that feeling like, oh, thank you.
Yeah,
It's,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and same kind of thing with the rain song. It's beautiful.
Mm,
But there's another one. Oh, yeah. For a long time, my favorite Led Zeppelin song was The Levee. The Levee, no,
yeah,
Levee
yeah.
Breaker. I can't even remember the title now.
When
But,
the levee breaks.
huh?
When the levee breaks.
When the Levee Breaks. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because when I first started, I was a blues fan,
me
just
too.
like yeah, Jimmy and all those guys. That was my first love, the blues. Stevie Ray
Hmm.
Vaughan, all those guys. I mean, he's younger compared to those people, but anyway. that song was my favorite Led Zeppelin song. And everyone was like, "You're kidding me." What about Stairway to Heaven? What about Kashmir, Rain Song, all these others, Black Dog? No, when the levee breaks.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, you evolve, you change.
mm. Great old stuff.
How
Absolutely.
about Chrissy? We didn't ask you your song. I don't, or maybe you did.
Oh,
Limited to one song, which
Yeah.
is not fair. It's never fair. No one can say just one song.
well, I think it's split between two, and I know you've just said one, but it's either Silent All These Years by Tori Amos or This Woman's Work
Oh yes.
by Kate Bush or
Oh,
Coral
yeah.
Room by Kate Bush.
Oh
And
goodness.
they're really rubbish because I picked
Mm.
three, but I said it really fast, so it doesn't
You know what?
so
I'd
either
never thought of Kate Bush. Maybe that's
you
my.
can't take it back,
Oh
no,
no,
you've got to.
the Coral Room is so fantastic.
It is,
Yeah.
but so is this one's work, and so is a lot of Tori Amos's work. And I got to see her live for the first time this year as well. So lots of
Yeah.
my favorite artists I got to see this year. So very lucky.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know, we have a radio show that's in this country that's been going for years, probably about 50 years. It's a really famous radio show called Desert Island Discs,
Oh, yeah.
where someone has to pick, I don't know how many,
mean,
is it 8 songs or something like that? Maybe that would be a great thing to get rock, famous rock people to do their Desert Island Disc and see what their favorite main, 8 songs of their life would be. That would be fascinating to see what they would choose.
it is amazing.
Very hard.
I've seen some of those lists, and like Robert Plant, you were like, "You're kidding me," But yeah, some of the picks that they make, you just you would think one thing, and yeah, you get
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Sorry, Bash is
it's okay.
Want you to say hello.
butting in. I think he wants to say hello. Say
Well,
hello.
I don't want to keep you guys forever. I could, because I could talk to you. You guys are so
Same
interesting.
here. Of course we could.
But
We're gonna
you
get cut off
you
by
tell me
Zoom.
when to stop.
Well, we're gonna get cut off,
Are
aren't
we?
we? Zoom is going to cut us off in 4 minutes.
4 minutes. Gosh.
So we have 4 minutes.
This has been more than I ever could have expected. Really, thank you for talking
No
about all
problem.
your favorite songs and
We could go, like you say, we could go on all night talking about music. It never ends, does it?
Never ends, and there's always more to discover. So, like you asked us to send you, stuff. Send us
Yeah,
stuff
please
too.
do. Yeah.
Stuff that you
all
think.
right. Yeah.
It's always great to discover new artists,
Yeah,
isn't it? Because
absolutely.
there's loads that we've already missed. I just know there's loads that we've missed of,
Yeah.
albums of the year. There's loads, but you kind of get to the end of the year and you kind of like, I've not been collecting them. I've just been enjoying them as we go. And then I know that as soon as we finish, it's like, oh, I should have said that.
Yeah, of course.
But those were the ones that were in my head at the time. So.
Exactly. Well, it's same thing with the Genesis and Led Zeppelin. Everyone, that's all they think of me. But no, I love. There's a whole Marillion era. I was telling Rick about the Chameleons. There's a Chameleons era.
Yeah.
U2 era. There's a Simple Minds era.
Robert Palmer era, a Little Feat era, and all sorts of other things as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you like music, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's nice to have a broad range of things that you can soak your soul in.
Not to mention the Steely Dan era. The more I think about it, you sort of move through life, don't you, in different of strata of music.
And what I'm saying is, like, if I talk to my high school friends, he only likes Led Zeppelin and Genesis. No, God, no.
I've got a friend like that.
Back then, maybe, yeah, but no. Even back then, I was into Deep Purple and a lot of the bands you mentioned. And ELP is another one. I haven't even mentioned that. And
Absolutely. Tarkus is one of my favorite artists of all time.
I actually cried when Greg Lake died. I mean, he was one of my favorite. He's right up there with Peter Gabriel, Robert Plant, is
Yeah,
one of my favorite singers, and I love DLP. Yeah, I mean,
I did too. Yeah, I saw
and
them a
I've
long time ago.
met Alan White. He used to live here in Seattle, the drummer for
Right.
both John Lennon and Yes, and big Yes fan. I love Yes.
Yeah, same here. We come from the same place, I can tell.
Yeah,
We come from the same generation of music.
yeah.
Great time. We were so lucky to be born at the right
We
time
were. Oh my
to get
God.
into all that great stuff firsthand. You
But
know,
then there's still exactly what you just said a second ago about, you like lots of new stuff too.
yeah,
There's lots of new stuff being created. Yeah, we can go
yeah,
backwards
yeah.
and revisit all of
It's
that.
not like just that
But
our foundations were built on these bands like ELP and Zeppelin and Genesis.
I'm not denying
That
that.
our foundations are solid
But
on those great songs.
all I'm saying is,
And
but it's good to have an open mind because there are
it
some
is.
people who are like, nah, if it's not Yes, it's not prog.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Or
I'm glad she said that because I
yeah,
used to be, in the old camp. Now I'm in
yeah,
here
yeah.
where, yeah,
She's good for me. She's good for me. She keeps me
yeah,
in the present, not always, not in
because
the past.
I've actually had people, I'll do a review and they'll comment later, that's not Prague,
Mm,
this isn't Prague. And no, it's not exactly,
mm,
but it's
mm.
Genesis, yes,
progressive. It's
Yeah,
ELP,
progressive, and
yeah,
but that the word progressive means change. It means
yeah,
you're not going to keep making, Foxtrot 50.
yeah,
Who wants to hear that?
yeah,
There's one of them. There should only be one of them.
yeah. That's right.
yeah,
Anyone
we
that
don't
goes
need.
out and kind of duplicates, I've actually asked people, why don't you do this? Do a new version? No, I would never touch that. It's
You
like,
can't.
yeah, I agree.
It's sacred. It doesn't need to be
Yeah,
reviewed or revisited at
Yeah,
all.
we don't want regressive rock, do we?
No,
Is
you're
the
right.
point.
That's a good quote. Yeah,
yeah,
it's progressive, not regressive. You're dead right.
yeah,
But so thank you for supporting like all of us
Yeah,
newcomers and
yeah,
people who are making new music now, and
yeah.
it's really important because
It's
there's
vital.
lots of great bands
Mm,
now. There's lots of great bands who would sit under the progressive umbrella.
yeah,
Lots and lots of great ones like Black Midi would, and you know loads of people would.
mm-hmm.
Progressive is such
Church.
a broad church.
yeah.
That's right. So thank you for having
Thank
us
you for being
again.
with us. Yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you. Really. Thanks for your time. And please don't forget to send those, and I'll do the same.
Yeah, that's good fun. The exchange of these ideas has been really good fun to see what you sent to us as well. I'm looking forward to this.
Well, there's
Definitely
more that, yeah, I didn't even talk about, but yeah, I will.
Yeah, sure.
brilliant. Well, we
Right,
shall go before we get
cut
abruptly
off.
kicked out because it's saying less than 1 minute.
Okay.
So happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy
Have a
New
great
Year.
one.
Yes, definitely. Thank you very much again. And you guys have a wonderful New Year. Cheers. I don't know if
Cheers.
you
He's
Absolutely.
got my cup. That's mine.
It's a coffee cup, but the sentiment is the same.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
All
Have a
right.
great one.
Looking forward to the new one when it comes. And
Okay.
hopefully you guys do make it over here. That would be wonderful.
It would indeed be
I,
wonderful. Yeah.
I mean, I'd be happy, but I think there'd be a lot of people in the Seattle area who'd be very happy to
Well, that would be
hear your
terrific.
music.
We need to make it happen.
Yeah, we need
We'll
to make
work
it
hard
happen.
at it. We will.
We're on the case.
See you next year.
See you next year. Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye bye now. Bye bye.
Take care.
You too.